If you're going through something hard right now, don't skip this. If you're carrying something heavy, silently, this is for you. Because life doesn't wait until you're ready. It doesn't ask if you're strong enough before it breaks you. It just comes, loud, fast, unfair. And in the middle of that chaos, most people look for escape. But what if the way out is deeper in? This episode isn't about comfort. It's about clarity. It's not about avoiding difficulty. It's about learning how to use it, how to turn pain into perspective, fear into fuel, and resistance into rhythm. What you're about to hear isn't theory. It's not a list of cliches. These are meditations written from the fire, from the storms that forge you when no one's watching. Short, sharp, and unfiltered truths to return to when everything feels like too much. So, take a breath, not to calm down, but to wake up, because the hard things in your life are not obstacles. They are instructions. Let's begin. Say no. There's a quiet kind of courage in saying no. It's not the kind that wins applause or gets recognized in public. It's the kind that happens behind closed doors, when you turn down an opportunity that doesn't align with your values, when you walk away from a conversation that drains your energy, when you choose solitude over shallow approval. Saying no is not about rebellion. It's not about arrogance. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing the weight of your time, the limits of your energy, and the sacredness of your focus. The world will pull you in 1,000 directions. It will praise your yeses and question your boundaries. It will try to convince you that productivity is purpose, that popularity is proof, that being everything to everyone is some kind of virtue. But what if the real virtue is discernment? What if the most important things in your life only come into focus when you make room for them by saying no to the rest? Saying no is not selfish. It's strategic. It's the first step in building a life that feels like your own, not one that's rented out to every demand, every invitation, every distraction. The people who truly respect you won't be threatened by your boundaries. They'll admire them, because boundaries are not walls. They're windows. They let the light in, but they keep the chaos out. So the next time your gut whispers, no, listen. That whisper is your soul trying to protect its rhythm, its energy, its clarity. And every time you honor that voice, you're not closing a door. You're opening space for something better, something real. Pierce through the veil of ego. Ego doesn't shout, it whispers. It convinces you that you're the center of everything, that you must be right, that every slight is personal, and that humility is weakness. But the truth is, ego blinds. It fogs your vision. It makes you see only yourself, even when you think you're looking outward. To pierce through that veil is to return to clarity. It's to realize that the world isn't revolving around your preferences, your timeline, your narrative. And that realization, it's freeing. Because the moment you step out of your own shadow, you can finally see the light. Ego says, I've already learned enough. Wisdom says, there's always more to see. Ego says, I deserve better. Wisdom says, how can I become better? Ego waits to be served. Wisdom looks for ways to serve. The Stoics taught that humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's shifting the lens from inward obsession to outward contribution. It's realizing that your identity isn't something to defend. It's something to examine, to evolve, to let go of when needed. So if you feel stuck, if life feels heavier than it should, ask yourself, is this pain ego in disguise? And if it is, dare to let it go. Dare to see beyond your reflection. Because on the other side of ego is not emptiness, it's connection, perspective, and peace. Don't just read, act. You don't grow by collecting quotes, you grow by living them. The world doesn't need more people who know what Stoicism is. It needs more people who embody it. You can underline every line in every book and still live in fear, still get angry at small things, still crumble under pressure. Knowledge is potential. Action is transformation. It's not about how many books are on your shelf. It's about how many ideas have made it into your behavior. It's not about sounding wise. It's about being wise when it matters most. The Stoics didn't study philosophy to impress anyone. They studied it to survive, to find stillness in chaos, to stand upright in storms, to face death with dignity. And every insight they practiced became a step forward, not just on the page, but on the path of life. So ask yourself, are you memorizing or are you moving? Are you clinging to words or are you becoming the kind of person those words point to? Books are maps, but you still have to walk the terrain, and no one can do that part for you. Turn pages into footsteps. Let what you learn shape what you do. Because the real test of philosophy isn't how well you quote it, it's how deeply you live it. Keep your own standards. The world's trends will twist. What's praised today will be ridiculed tomorrow. If you build your identity on public approval, you'll be rebuilding yourself every season. But if you root yourself in principle, you won't need the crowd. You'll carry your compass within. To keep your own standards is to resist the pressure to conform. It's standing tall in a room full of bending spines. It's choosing quality over hype, depth over appearance, integrity over trend. The Stoics didn't follow the fashion of the day. They lived by timeless values: courage, wisdom, justice, temperance. They didn't ask, what's popular? They asked, what's right? And then they acted, whether or not it was convenient, celebrated, or easy. When you know your standards, decisions become simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You stop outsourcing your worth to what others think. You stop chasing temporary applause. And in that space, your character sharpens. Your purpose deepens. You become someone solid in a world built on sand. So take time to define your values, write them, live them, guard them, because when the lights fade and the noise dies down, it's not the trends you followed that will matter. It's the truth you stood for. Memento mori. You will die. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you, to jolt you out of autopilot and into awareness. Because when you remember your time is limited, everything changes. You stop postponing. You stop pretending. You start living. The Stoics kept death close, not out of morbidity, but out of urgency. They knew that awareness of mortality makes life sharper. It makes decisions clearer. It reminds you that each moment is a non-refundable miracle, and every breath is a chance to become more of who you are. Memento mori doesn't mean obsessing over the end. It means appreciating the now. It means making peace with the inevitable so you can make the most of the present. It means loving people fully because they're not guaranteed tomorrow. It means doing the work today because later might never come. Death is not the enemy. Wasting life is. Living half-hearted, holding grudges, dimming your light out of fear. That's the real tragedy. So look in the mirror, not to check your appearance, but to ask, if this were my last week, how would I spend it? And then live like that. Not recklessly, but urgently. Not anxiously, but intentionally. You will die. So live fully. urgently, beautifully. Do it for yourself. Do it for the person you used to be, for the one who was lost, confused, and trying to survive. Do it for the version of you that believed in more, but didn't know how to begin. Not for applause, not for validation. For you. When you build your life on external approval, you hand over your power. Every step becomes a performance, every failure a public shame. But when your motivation comes from within, when your purpose is personal, you become unstoppable. You don't need the world to understand your journey. You need only to honor it, to respect your own growth, your own timing, your own path. The mirror is your only audience, and when you can look into it and say, "I'm proud of the person I'm becoming," you've already won. So show up, not for likes, not for praise, but because your soul is calling for more, because your future self is counting on you, because you are worth the effort. Build quietly, heal deeply, rise anyway. Do it now. Waiting is a trap, a slow decay of intention, a silent agreement to let comfort dictate your life. Every time you say later, you hand today's power to tomorrow's uncertainty. And the truth is, tomorrow doesn't always show up. The Stoics didn't believe in perfect timing. They believed in readiness, in being prepared now, because life moves fast, and the window to act is often smaller than you think. There will never be a moment when fear completely disappears, or when conditions are just right, or when you feel ready. Growth demands movement through discomfort, not away from it. Whatever you've been putting off, the call, the project, the change, do it now. Not recklessly, not perfectly, just honestly. Do it because you're tired of delaying who you could be. Do it because your future depends on your present effort. Action births clarity, movement reveals direction, and one step taken now is more powerful than 100 intentions delayed. So whatever it is, start, begin, move. Do it now. Concentrate like a Roman. Focus isn't just about productivity, it's about presence. It's about eliminating noise so that your energy can flow fully into the task at hand. The Romans understood this. When Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, when he led an army, when he sat in council, he locked in, not with tension, but with clarity. In a world full of distractions, focus becomes a form of rebellion. It's choosing depth over speed, precision over frenzy. It's the discipline to be fully here, fully now, even when your mind begs to wander. To concentrate like a Roman is to train your attention like a blade, sharp, controlled, and unshaken by chaos. It means learning to say no to things that look urgent but aren't important. It means letting silence be your ally, not your enemy. So the next time you sit down to do what matters, breathe, center yourself, remove the excess, and channel your mind like a soldier in formation, steady, focused, and committed to this moment alone. Because when you give something your full presence, even the smallest act becomes sacred. Cherish your loved ones. People are not permanent. Time doesn't warn you before it takes someone away. So hug longer, speak softer, show up more often, love like it's the last time, because one day it will be. We often get so caught up in goals, noise, and urgency that we forget what truly matters: connection. The Stoics reminded us of this constantly. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the shortness of life, not to depress us, but to help us value the time we have with others. The little things you do with someone today may become the last memories you ever have together. That laugh, that late-night talk, that ordinary moment. They're not small, they're sacred. So next time you feel the urge to postpone a call, rush through a dinner, or half listen during a conversation, pause. Choose presence over distraction. Choose depth over routine. Because you won't remember the rush, but you will remember the people. And more than that, they will remember how you made them feel. Don't wait to say what matters. Don't assume there's more time. Pour love generously while you still can. There is enough time. You don't need more time. You need less distraction. Most people aren't short on minutes. They're drowning in noise. When you clear the clutter, clarity shows you that the hours were always there. Hiding beneath the scrolling, beneath the overthinking, beneath the busyness masquerading as purpose. The Stoics believed in urgency, but not in panic. They valued time because they didn't assume more was coming. And yet they moved with calm, with focus, with intent. Because time is not just what we have, it's how we use it. Stop telling yourself you'll start when things slow down. Life doesn't slow down. You simplify, you prioritize, you choose. And in that choosing, you discover what truly matters and what was just noise wearing a mask of importance. You have time, right now, enough to take the first step, enough to grow, enough to rebuild, but only if you stop waiting for time to appear and start claiming it from the chaos. Own your time, or lose it to everything that doesn't matter. Stay a student. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop evolving. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a mindset. The Stoics knew this, that no matter how wise, how skilled, how seasoned you are, there's always more to see, more to refine, more to learn. Pride tells you you've outgrown learning. Wisdom reminds you, the deeper your knowledge, the deeper your humility. Because true growth reveals how much more there is to uncover. Staying a student means staying curious. It means asking better questions instead of clinging to easy answers. It means observing your habits, examining your reactions, and being willing to challenge even your own beliefs. The greatest minds in history weren't just thinkers, they were seekers. They never stopped exploring. They treated every experience as a lesson, every failure as a teacher, every person as a potential guide. So don't aim to be the expert. Aim to be the learner, the one who listens more than they speak, the one who studies life, not to conquer it, but to understand it. Keep reading, keep questioning, keep growing, because staying a student is how you stay alive, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Commit to reading. One good book can rewire your soul, not the kind you skim through to escape, but the kind you sit with to confront, to remember, to rise. Reading isn't about quantity, it's about impact. One paragraph can shift your path if it hits your heart at the right moment. The Stoics read not to feel smart, but to live wiser. They read to equip themselves for reality, for setbacks, for betrayal, for death. Reading wasn't entertainment, it was armor. But here's the key, it only works if you engage. Don't just scroll, don't just highlight. Absorb, reflect, apply. Let the words challenge your comfort, stir your conscience, and move your feet. Make time for books that matter. The kind that don't just inform you, but transform you. That return you to yourself when the world pulls you away. Don't read to impress, read to ignite. And when you find something true, something that shakes you, read it again, and then go live it. Follow the river of time. Time flows forward, always. It doesn't pause for your regrets. It doesn't rewind for your mistakes. It doesn't wait for your hesitation. The Stoics knew this, And that's why they urged us to flow with time, not against it. When you resist time, you suffer. You cling to what's gone. You mourn what could have been. You replay conversations, decisions, outcomes, hoping they'll somehow change. But they won't. What happened, happened. And no amount of wishing rewrites reality. But here's the power. You can choose what happens next. You can let go of the past, not because it didn't matter, but because it's done. And in that letting go, you reclaim the present. You free yourself to move again. Think of time like a river. You can't stand still in it. You can't swim backward, but you can flow with it, with grace, with courage, with intention. You can learn to let the current carry you forward, not aimlessly, but with your eyes open and your heart engaged. So stop clinging to yesterday's shores. Stop fearing the bends ahead. Trust the current. Trust yourself. And keep moving forward. Such is life. Pain, joy, loss, success. It's all part of it. Life isn't a neat story with predictable chapters. It's messy. It's unpredictable, and it rarely goes according to your plans. The Stoics didn't try to smooth life's edges. They accepted them. They embraced the full spectrum of experience, not just the comfortable parts. To live well is not to avoid the storm, but to let it shape you, to be open to all of it, the beauty, the heartbreak, the confusion, the awe. Life isn't meant to be labeled at every turn. It's meant to be lived. You don't need to assign meaning to everything. You don't have to pretend everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it's enough to simply say, "Such is life," and then move forward with strength, with grace, with a willingness to remain open. Because when you stop demanding that life be fair or easy or perfect, you begin to see its raw, imperfect brilliance. You begin to feel more, to grow more, to be more. Let it all in, let it all shape you, and keep walking. Don't ask the impossible. Stop expecting perfection from people, from fate, from life itself. The world doesn't owe you consistency. People will change, falter, forget, and disappoint. Circumstances will shift without warning. Plans will fall apart. That's not a glitch in the system. It is the system. The Stoics didn't waste time wishing the world were different. They worked with what was. They understood the difference between what's in your control and what isn't, and they focused their energy accordingly. Don't ask people to be flawless. Ask them to be real. Don't ask life to be fair. Ask yourself to be strong. The less you demand from what's outside you, the more you reclaim your power to respond wisely. When you expect the impossible, you suffer. You get caught in resentment. You fight battles that can't be won. But when you adjust your expectations to reality, something shifts. Disappointment fades. Peace returns. So lower the impossible bar you've been holding over the world's head. Let people be people. Let life be life. And let yourself grow, not from what you wanted, but from what is. People will be frustrating. They'll lie. They'll shout. They'll disappoint. They'll say one thing and do another. That's not a flaw in human nature. It is human nature. Expecting people to always behave logically or kindly is a recipe for endless resentment. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus reminded us that we don't control other people, we only control how we respond. And when you start expecting others to act according to their nature, not your ideals, you suffer less. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It means being prepared, mentally ready, emotionally composed. If you know the world is unpredictable, you don't get shocked when it surprises you. You adapt. People will test your patience. Some will trigger your ego. Others will reflect your own weaknesses back at you. Good. It's practice. It's your chance to grow stronger, not through isolation, but through interaction. So when someone frustrates you today, don't ask, why are they like this? Ask instead, what part of me needs strengthening so I can handle this better? Because every frustration is a forge, and you're the iron. They are still like you, no matter how foolish they seem, no matter how wrong their choices, no matter how loud their anger or sharp their words. They are still human, just like you. They bleed like you. They carry insecurities, fears, and memories they never speak of, just like you. The Stoics didn't teach us to judge people at their worst. They taught us to look deeper, to see not the behavior, but the pain behind it, to respond not with outrage, but with understanding, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you dehumanize someone, you give yourself permission to hate. When you recognize your shared humanity, you give yourself the chance to grow, to be patient, to be kind, not because it's easy, but because it's powerful. So the next time someone frustrates you, ask, what if I were raised like them, hurt like them, misunderstood like them? What if I've made mistakes too, ones I've conveniently forgotten? Seeing others as human doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it reminds you that empathy is strength, not softness. And when you act from that place, you don't just change your response, you elevate your character. Be ready for attacks. Hurt people. That's not just a saying, it's a reality. The attacks you receive, the cold stares, the passive-aggressive comments, they're often projections of someone else's inner war. And if you're not careful, they'll start a war inside you too. The Stoics trained their minds like soldiers, not to lash out, but to endure, not to strike back, but to stand firm. When insults fly or betrayal stings, they didn't take it personally. They understood it as part of the terrain, a test of their inner strength, not an invitation to lose it. Be like armor, not glass. Let the strikes land, but not sink. Respond with silence when silence speaks louder than words. Respond with wisdom when the world expects outrage, not to appear virtuous, but to stay in control. You can't control how others act, but you can always control what you absorb, what you repeat, what you magnify. So be ready, not with a sword, but with stillness, not with revenge, but with resilience. That's how you win battles without becoming like the enemy. Avoid false friendships. Not everyone who stands beside you is for you. Not every smile hides sincerity, and not every shared moment means shared values. The Stoics were not cynical, but they were careful. They knew that friendships built on convenience crumble in crisis. Better to walk alone in truth than be surrounded by shadows. False friendships drain you. They demand more than they give. They celebrate your weaknesses, resent your growth, and disappear when you need them most. True friendship challenges you. It sharpens you. It honors your boundaries and holds you accountable. It doesn't flatter. It reflects. It doesn't compete. It encourages. So take inventory. Who lifts your spirit? Who leaves you lighter? And who brings confusion, doubt, and noise? Don't fear solitude. Fear the slow erosion of your peace by people who pretend to care. Choose those who align with your principles, not just your past. Let your circle be small, but solid, because one real ally is worth more than 1,000 empty connections. Your reward is internal. The world hands out trophies for appearances, titles, likes, applause, but those rewards are fragile, temporary. They depend on things outside of you, and anything that can be taken away was never truly yours. The Stoics understood a deeper truth, that the real reward is invisible. It's the strength you gain from struggle, the peace you build from discipline, the character you shape from every choice no one sees. When you overcome something difficult, not for attention, but for growth, that's your reward. When you choose integrity over convenience, silence over ego, resilience over revenge, that's your reward. Because the goal isn't to impress others, it's to impress upon your soul the kind of person you want to be. That can't be bought, it can't be faked, and it can't be taken from you. So stop measuring success by what's on the outside. Look inward. Who are you becoming? What are you building inside that no one claps for? Because in the end, the person you wake up as, the peace you carry, the strength you stand on, that's the only prize that lasts. Walk towards common God. Walk with integrity, not just when it's easy, not just when people are watching. Walk upward, always upward. Whether you call it God, virtue, truth, or something unnamed, you know when you're aligned with it. You can feel it in your gut. The Stoics didn't demand belief in a particular deity, but they believed in something higher, a moral order, a natural law, a divine reason, and they urged us to live in accordance with it, not to be praised, but to find peace. Because when your actions match your values, when your life reflects your conscience, when you follow that quiet, honest voice inside, you walk lighter, straight, freer. You don't need everyone to agree with your path. You just need to be sure it's yours, and that it's pointed in a direction that strengthens your soul. So keep walking, through setbacks, through distractions, through the noise. Keep walking toward that which calls you higher, that which reminds you of who you are and who you're here to become. Think realistically. Don't sugarcoat, don't dramatize. See things for what they are, then move with clarity. The Stoics taught that clear perception is the foundation of sound action. If you inflate your hopes or exaggerate your fears, you're not dealing with life. You're dealing with illusions. Realism isn't pessimism, it's power. It means confronting what's true without flinching. It means asking, what's actually happening here? What are the facts, not the feelings? What can I control, not what I wish were different? When you think realistically, you move wisely. You stop wasting energy on fantasies or fears. You stop expecting life to fit your preferences. You start working with what's real, and that's where progress begins. You don't have to like the truth to use it. You just have to be willing to look at it, because when your mind is clear, your next step is too, and clarity is a kind of freedom no delusion can give. Remain pragmatic. Philosophy doesn't float in the clouds. It walks through broken streets. It doesn't only belong in books. It belongs in traffic, in heartbreak, in long hours and hard conversations. To remain pragmatic is to ground your ideals in the real world. The Stoics were not abstract dreamers. They were doers, leaders, fighters. They believed in applying wisdom, not admiring it from a distance. They didn't write to impress. They wrote to endure, to serve, to survive. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You don't need a quiet morning or a beautiful journal. You need a willingness to use what you know, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable. Pragmatism means asking, what helps right now? What choice honors my values today, not in theory, but in action? It means choosing function over fantasy, progress over performance. So stop waiting for a better moment. Use this one. Stop aiming for the perfect answer. find the useful one. And when you stumble, as you will, ask, what would a practical Stoic do? Then do that. Because living well isn't about lofty ideals. It's about making ancient wisdom walk beside you in modern life. It's called self-discipline. No secret, no shortcut, no magic. Just repetition. Just showing up again and again when it's boring, when it's hard, when no one's clapping. That's self-discipline. It's not punishment. It's self-respect in disguise. It's how you prove to yourself that your actions align with your aspirations. The Stoics didn't talk about motivation. They talked about mastery, about habits, about doing the right thing, even when your emotions are screaming the opposite. Because they knew, the more you do what you said you'd do, the more you become who you say you are. Self-discipline is quiet. It doesn't post. It doesn't seek applause. It's waking up early to write when no one's asking. It's staying calm in conflict when anger would feel good. It's skipping what's easy for what's right. And over time, it compounds. It builds trust with yourself. It shapes identity. And it gives you a kind of internal power no one can take away. So if you want to feel proud, not just someday but every day, don't wait to feel inspired. Just act, start, show up. That's the formula. It's simple, not easy, but it works. You will stumble. You will fall. You will mess up. You will say the wrong thing, miss the mark, lose your footing. And that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're becoming. Because no growth comes without friction. No strength comes without strain. The Stoics never promised perfection. They promised practice. They knew that the road to virtue is uneven, that slipping isn't failure, it's feedback. It's part of the process. You stumble, you pause, you reflect, you rise. Every stumble is a teacher. It reveals where you're still reactive, where you still carry ego, where your habits crack under pressure. And that knowledge is gold, because once you see it, you can shape it. Don't let stumbling make you hesitate. Let it make you humble. Let it ground you. Let it remind you that mastery isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. You return to the same lessons, but each time you carry more wisdom into the test. So fall forward, stumble with awareness, rise with purpose, because what matters is not how perfectly you walk, it's how quickly you return to your path. Follow your inner compass. If your gut screams and your soul flinches, listen. That reaction is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet voice of alignment trying to speak over the noise of expectation, pressure, and fear. The Stoics believed in listening inward, in tuning out the crowd and tuning into conscience, because no philosophy, no system, no mentor knows you better than your own soul does, if you're honest enough to hear it. Following your inner compass doesn't mean you'll always feel confident. It means you'll feel true, and that truth will guide you when the road splits. When others try to tell you who to be, when comfort begs you to stay still, your compass doesn't chase comfort, it points toward character. So pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what decision would I make if I weren't afraid? What path feels right, even if it's harder? Because sometimes clarity isn't found in logic, but in the weight of what won't leave you alone. Trust that, honor it, and act on it. Because the crowd may cheer you towards success, but only your soul knows the way to peace. Take Plato's view. Zoom out, step back, rise above. When life feels overwhelming, your vision is often too close. You're staring at a single scene and mistaking it for the whole story. But Plato taught us to look at life from a broader perspective, to see beyond the cave walls of emotion and ego. When you take the long view, your pain becomes a moment, your fear becomes a phase, your failure becomes a frame in a larger film, and suddenly, the things that felt like the end of the world reveal themselves as just another turn in the path. The Stoics knew the power of this zoomed-out mindset. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the troubles of today are just specks in the vast ocean of time, not to dismiss them, but to shrink them into proportion. So the next time you're caught in stress, anger, or disappointment, ask, how will this look in a week, in a year, in the rearview mirror of a meaningful life? That distance doesn't make the moment less real, but it gives you space to breathe, to act wisely, to keep going. Perspective is power. Use it. We're all interconnected. You are not a separate wave. You're part of the ocean. Your words ripple into others. Your energy, your presence, your choices, they don't just shape you, they shape the world around you. The Stoics believed we're all part of one whole, that to harm another is to harm ourselves, that to uplift another is to rise together. It's easy to feel isolated, to believe your struggle is yours alone, but every act of courage you take, every moment of patience, every bit of love you give, echoes. It strengthens the invisible threads that bind us. Your peace helps others find theirs. Your calm steadies the storm in someone else. Your discipline sets a standard that others can lean on. And even if you never see the impact, know this: what you do in silence can heal loudly. So live like it matters, not just for you, but for all of us. Because in a world full of disconnection, your integrity is a signal. Your kindness, a rebellion, your strength, a gift. We rise together, or not at all. Philosophy is everywhere. It's not just in books, it's in the silence before a decision, in how you treat the waiter, in how you handle loss. It's in the way you speak when you're angry, in the thoughts you choose to believe or release. Philosophy isn't something you turn to once a week. It's how you live when no one's watching. The Stoics believed wisdom isn't found only in the academy. It's found in action, in daily life, in choices that either align with virtue or betray it. That's where your philosophy shows itself, not in your words, but in your reflexes. So pay attention. Notice where your values show up or don't, in your patience at a red light, in your reaction to an insult, in your response to a challenge you didn't choose. These are not side moments. They are your life. Every ordinary moment is an invitation to rise or to shrink, to react or to reflect, to stay stuck or to grow. And the more you treat those moments as sacred, the more aligned your life becomes. Philosophy isn't separate from life. It is life, examined, lived, and made better, one moment at a time. Everything transitory. Nothing stays, not joy, not pain, not even the things you think are permanent. Life is in constant motion, and the sooner you embrace that, the freer you become. The Stoics didn't chase comfort. They accepted change. They saw impermanence not as a threat, but as a truth to be honored. When you realize that nothing lasts forever, you start to love deeper. You start to let go faster. You stop gripping so tightly to what was and start leaning into what is. Because every moment, every person, every experience, it's all borrowed. And knowing that makes it sacred. So don't cling, don't resist. Flow. Let the beauty of transience remind you to stay present, to appreciate the now, to stop waiting for forever, and instead fully live the temporary. Joy will fade, so let it fill you while it lasts. Pain will pass, so let it shape you without letting it define you. Everything is in motion, including you. Hold life lightly, and in doing so, hold it completely. Be like a rock, unshaken, present, solid. That's how the Stoics taught us to stand in the middle of life's chaos. Not indifferent, but immovable. Not numb, but deeply rooted in principle. When storms rage and opinions swirl, be like a rock, firm, quiet, and steady. You don't need to match the noise around you. You don't need to respond to every provocation. Stillness isn't weakness, it's strength held under control. And in that stillness you gain clarity. You respond with purpose instead of reacting with panic. Being like a rock doesn't mean you're cold or detached. It means you know what you believe, and you hold to it. It means you choose virtue over volatility, silence over shouting, wisdom over impulse. So when the world shakes, don't. When others waver, stay grounded. When life throws confusion, remain composed. Because the strongest people are not those who shout the loudest. They're the ones who stay centered while everything around them spins. Be like a rock. And you'll find that peace doesn't come from the absence of storms, but from the presence of strength. Strive for the ideal. Even if you never reach it, the chase shapes you. Ideals are not about perfection, they're about direction. They remind you of who you want to be when it's hard, when it's messy, when shortcuts whisper your name. To strive for the ideal is to aim higher, not because you'll always succeed, but because the striving itself refines your soul. The Stoics didn't expect flawless execution, but they did expect full effort. They knew that by aiming for virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, temperance, you elevate your choices. You bring meaning to moments that might otherwise be wasted. It's easy to settle, to shrink, to say, this is good enough. But good enough becomes your ceiling, and ceilings are meant to be broken. Every time you reach a little further, hold your standards a little higher. Act with a little more discipline. You rise. So don't fear the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That space is your training ground. That striving is your path. And with every step, you become more aligned, not just with success, but with something stronger, your principles. You may never be perfect, but you can be intentional, and that is enough to transform everything. Hold yourself accountable. It's easy to point fingers, to blame the system, the timing, the people around you. But growth begins the moment you stop looking outward and start looking inward. The Stoics didn't waste energy on excuses. They used every moment to sharpen their character. Holding yourself accountable doesn't mean being harsh. It means being honest. It means asking, where did I fall short today? What could I have done better? Not to shame yourself, but to shape yourself. You are not responsible for everything that happens to you, but you are responsible for how you meet it, your reactions, your effort, your discipline. These are yours, and they are enough to turn any situation into a step forward. Avoid the trap of self-pity. Reject the comfort of victimhood. Take responsibility for your choices, not just the good ones. Because that's where your real power begins, not in perfection, but in ownership. So hold the mirror, tell the truth, and adjust, because the one thing stronger than circumstance is a person who refuses to hide from their own reflection. Time flows like a river. You can't step in the same water twice. Time moves forward, always. It doesn't pause, it doesn't rewind. And the more you try to cling to what's already past, the more you miss what's right in front of you. The Stoics saw time as a river, and they urged us to flow with it, not against it. That means letting go of yesterday's mistakes, old identities, past hurts. It means freeing yourself from the weight of what could have been so you can carry what is with strength and grace. Clinging is suffering, resistance is exhaustion, but surrender, not in defeat, but in wisdom, is freedom. When you accept the flow of time, you stop fighting reality. You begin to adapt, to act, to live fully where your feet actually are. Here. Let go of the version of you that no longer serves your future. Let go of the narrative that keeps you small. Let the river move, and let it move you, not as driftwood, but as a swimmer who chooses direction within the current. Flow forward, always forward. Don't be all about business. You're not a machine. You weren't built just to produce, to earn, to compete. Life isn't just about climbing ladders or checking boxes. It's about being human, feeling, connecting, laughing, resting. The Stoics lived with purpose, but they didn't confuse purpose with pressure. Yes, discipline matters. Yes, hard work shapes character. But if you forget how to pause, how to enjoy a slow morning or a long hug, you're not thriving, you're just surviving. Productivity without presence is hollow. Achievement without joy is empty. When you neglect the simple, beautiful parts of life, friendship, stillness, wonder, you lose the very things that make all your effort meaningful. So take a walk with no destination. Sit with someone you love without a clock. Laugh until your stomach hurts. Rest not because you earned it, but because you need it, because you are alive, and that alone is reason enough. Remember, you're not a task list, you're a soul, and you deserve to live like it. Love your fate. Not just the pretty parts, not just the victories. Love the failures, love the delays, love the discomfort, because all of it, is part of the shape your life is meant to take. The Stoics called it amor fati, a love of fate, not passive acceptance, but active embrace, a willingness to say, this too belongs, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You don't grow by resisting what is. You grow by working with it, by turning obstacles into teachers, by turning pain into presence. When you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now, you reclaim your power. To love your fate doesn't mean liking everything that happens. It means trusting that everything can be used, that nothing is wasted, that every moment is raw material for strength, for wisdom, for depth. So stop editing your story. Stop wishing for a different past. Look at your life, every scar, every detour, every silent victory, and whisper, yes, because this is your path. And when you learn to love it, you finally begin to own it. The obstacle is the way. What blocks you can also build you. The path you've been trying to avoid might be the exact one meant to strengthen you. The Stoics taught that obstacles are not interruptions. They are the course. They don't prevent the path. They are the path. When something stands in your way, ask, how can I use this? Not, how do I escape it? But what part of me is being called to rise? Resistance isn't a sign to retreat. It's an invitation to lean in, to grow, to forge something real. It's easy to wish for smooth roads, but smooth roads don't build strong people. Difficulty is a forge. Pressure reveals potential, and friction polishes character. Whatever you're facing, don't turn away. Face it. Move through it. Let it reshape you. Because often, what feels like a wall is actually a mirror, showing you what you're capable of becoming. Remember, the obstacle is not the enemy. It's the test. And when you rise to meet it, you rise to meet yourself. Acceptance is not resignation. To accept something is not to surrender to it. It's to acknowledge its reality so you can act wisely within it. The Stoics knew this difference well. Acceptance is clarity. Resignation is defeat. One gives you power, the other takes it away. You can accept that someone hurt you and still decide to set boundaries. You can accept that life is difficult and still choose to rise with grace. Acceptance is the beginning of action, not the end of it. Resignation says, "There's nothing I can do." Acceptance says, "This is what I face. Now what will I choose to do?" It's the moment you stop wasting energy on denial or blame and start investing that energy in progress. Don't confuse peace with passivity. You can be calm and still fierce. You can be grounded and still ambitious. You can accept your starting point without accepting stagnation. So when life hands you hardship, accept it fully. Let it land. Let it sting. Then breathe. Then move. Because once you stop resisting reality, you begin shaping it. Obstacles are fuel. The more it hurts, the deeper it carves into you, the more power it can ignite. Pain isn't just something to endure, it's something to use. The Stoics believed that adversity is not a dead end, but a spark. What you suffer can become your strength, if you let it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I do with this?" Let every setback be a starting point. Let every scar be a signature of growth. Don't waste pain. Work with it. Mold it. Fuel your progress with it. Every hardship carries energy. Energy that you can convert into discipline, into clarity, into resolve. But only if you face it. Only if you choose to transform, not collapse. You are not the wound. You are the warrior being shaped by fire. So when the weight feels heavy, when the road feels endless, dig in, harness it, let the burn become your engine, let the hurt become your hunger, and let the climb make you stronger than the fall ever was. Because you don't just bounce back, you rise, rebuilt. Rise to the occasion. Don't shrink. Don't wait for someone else to step up. Don't hope that the right person will appear. You are the right person. You are the moment. The Stoics didn't ask the world for heroes. They asked themselves to be one. When pressure mounts, it reveals what you're made of. It doesn't create your character. It exposes it. And that's your invitation. To rise, to lead, to act not out of comfort, but out of conviction. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need conditions to be perfect. You need only the courage to begin. Because most of life's defining moments won't feel grand. They'll feel like small nudges. A chance to speak up. A moment to take responsibility. A call to bring order where there's chaos. Step into that. Own it. Be the one who shows up when it matters. Not because you're fearless, but because you've decided your values matter more than your fear. When the moment comes, and it will, don't look around. Look within and rise. Return to the rhythm. You lost your way? That's okay. Life is a rhythm, a pattern of rising and falling, pushing and pausing. And when you fall out of step, you don't need to punish yourself. You need to return. Not with force, but with intention. One small step, then another. The Stoics never claimed to live flawlessly. They stumbled too. They wavered, but they always returned to the path. That's what matters. Not that you never break, but that you rebuild. Every time you choose to begin again, you reinforce your commitment. Every time you return to your values, your focus, your discipline, you strengthen the rhythm that leads to growth. You remind yourself that resilience isn't about never stopping, it's about never quitting. So if you've drifted, start again. If you've been silent, speak again. If you've been stuck, move again. There's no shame in starting over, only strength. Because life will always try to pull you off beat, but your power is in choosing to return, to rejoin the rhythm, and to march forward, deliberately, steadily, bravely. Be free to remain neutral. You don't have to take a side in every storm. Not every conflict needs your commentary. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. The Stoics knew that true power often lies in restraint, in the ability to observe without reacting, to understand without absorbing. Neutrality isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that jumping into every debate costs you clarity, that reacting out of impulse pulls you away from your peace, and that silence can be a statement of strength. In a world obsessed with hot takes and fast judgments, staying neutral feels rebellious. But it's not indifference, it's discipline. It's the discipline to stay anchored in your values while the noise swirls around you. So next time you're pulled toward drama, pause. Ask yourself, will speaking help or harm? Am I adding truth or just heat? And most importantly, am I preserving the integrity of my own mind? You are not obligated to carry every cause, to react to every comment, to correct every error. Sometimes the highest virtue is detachment, and in that space of stillness you find a deeper clarity, the kind that moves slower but cuts sharper. Be a free agent. You are not your job, you are not your past, you are not the roles others have placed on you. You are a free soul, capable of choosing your path, redefining your identity, and living in alignment with your values, not your resume. The Stoics believed that external labels are distractions. What matters is who you are, not what title you wear. True freedom is internal. It's the power to act from principle, not pressure. To say no when needed. To walk away when something costs you your peace. Being a free agent means owning your life. It means refusing to let status, salary, or social approval dictate your worth. It's asking, who am I when no one's watching? What do I stand for when it's inconvenient? What kind of life do I want to build, and why? You don't need permission to live authentically. You need courage. Courage to let go of old scripts, to shed borrowed identities, to stand firmly in your truth, even when it's unfamiliar or misunderstood. So act like someone who owns their soul. Live with intention. Choose your next step, not out of fear, but out of freedom. Because once you stop living by default, you start living by design. Ego is the enemy. It will puff you up and crush you later. Ego whispers lies, that you're above the rules, that praise defines your worth, that you're owed something just for showing up. But the Stoics saw ego for what it is: a mask, a fragile defense against discomfort, self-doubt, and truth. Ego clings to identity, humility clings to growth. Ego needs applause, humility needs direction. One inflates you and leaves you hollow. The other grounds you and helps you rise with substance. You can't learn if you think you already know. You can't lead if you need to be liked. You can't grow if you're addicted to image. Ego blocks the very path it pretends to walk. So strip it back. Choose honesty over image. Choose curiosity over pride. Let failure humble you. Let feedback sharpen you. And let silence remind you. You're not the center of the universe. You're a student in it. When you let go of ego, you make room for clarity, for connection, for mastery. And in that space, you stop performing and start becoming. Fate fades. Luck runs out. Beauty fades. Even pain passes. Everything external is temporary. That's why the Stoics taught us not to build our identity on things we can lose. Because when you attach yourself to what is fading, you suffer with every shift. You are not your fortune, your face, or your followers. Those things belong to time. But your character, that's yours to keep. That's the part of you that endures, that strengthens, that defines you beyond the surface. So let the seasons change. Let the applause die down. Let the spotlight move. If you've built yourself on substance, not status, you won't crumble. You'll stand, quietly, powerfully. Don't chase permanence where there is none. Instead, invest in what lasts. Courage, integrity, resilience, compassion. These don't fade, they deepen. Remember, you can't hold back time, but you can build something within it that time cannot touch. Moderation is key. Too much of anything, even the good, becomes a burden. Ambition without rest becomes burnout. Freedom without boundaries becomes chaos. Even love, if clung to without space, becomes suffocation. The Stoics preached balance not because it was easy, but because it was essential. Moderation doesn't mean mediocrity. It means mastery. The ability to step back, to say enough, to hold pleasure in one hand and discipline in the other. It's knowing when to act and when to wait, when to push and when to pause. In a world of extremes, moderation is rebellion. It's the quiet power of those who refuse to be ruled by impulse. It's not the absence of desire, but the presence of control. And that's where true freedom lives. Not in indulging every craving, but in choosing what truly serves you. So practice restraint, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Practice simplicity, not out of lack, but out of clarity. Walk the middle path, not because it's the safest, but because it's the most sustainable. Because in the long run, it's not the loudest or the wildest who endure. It's the ones who know how to pace themselves, to breathe, to return to center. Moderation isn't boring, it's brave, and it builds a life that lasts. Philosophy is medicine. Don't wait until life breaks you to start thinking deeply. Philosophy isn't just something you pick up when everything else has failed. It's the mindset that prepares you for the storm before it hits. The Stoics didn't turn to wisdom as a last resort. They used it as daily armor. Because when your thinking is clear, your actions are calm. And when your actions are calm, your world doesn't have to be. Philosophy is not the cure, it's the vaccine. It strengthens you beforehand. It sharpens your judgment, aligns your focus, and trains your emotions to serve you, not sabotage you. It teaches you that the problem isn't always the problem. Often, it's your interpretation of it. When you live without philosophy, you react. When you live with it, you respond. With intention, with perspective, with a quiet kind of power that doesn't panic when things fall apart. Because you already trained for this. You already rehearsed the worst-case scenario, and you've practiced how to endure it. So don't wait for rock bottom to start asking bigger questions. Don't wait for the breakdown to begin the rebuilding. Start now. Study yourself. Study the world. Study the wisdom that's lasted centuries. Not to sound smart, but to live better. Because when life gets chaotic, you don't rise to the level of your hopes. You fall to the level of your training. Philosophy is that training, and it begins the moment you take it seriously. The 3 disciplines of Stoicism. See clearly, act rightly, endure willingly. These aren't abstract ideals, they're the backbone of Stoic living. The moment you commit to these 3 disciplines, You stop being a passive participant in life and start becoming a conscious creator of it. To see clearly is to strip away illusion. It's the discipline of perception, of understanding what's truly happening, not what your emotions or fears want you to believe. When you see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be, you reclaim your power to respond wisely. To act rightly is the discipline of action, doing what needs to be done, guided by virtue, not impulse. It's not about getting credit or recognition. It's about alignment, about making choices that are consistent with your principles, even when no one's watching. To endure willingly is the discipline of the will, the quiet strength that allows you to face hardship without complaint, without collapse. To say, "This is mine to carry," and carry it, not with bitterness, but with dignity. These three disciplines are not steps to check off. They're daily practices, lenses through which to see, move, and live. Together, they build a life that is not just resilient, but radiant. Stoic prescription for success. Start early. Do the work. Expect nothing. Repeat. The Stoics didn't write about shortcuts or hacks. They wrote about rhythm, structure, mastery, the quiet, consistent discipline that turns effort into identity. Success, real success, isn't about grand gestures. It's about small things done well and done often. It's not about being the most talented in the room. It's about being the most dependable, the one who shows up, the one who finishes, the one who improves, not impresses. Start early, not just in the day but in life. Build habits before you need them. Build strength before the storm. Don't wait for motivation. Build systems that carry you even on days when motivation disappears. Do the work, not for credit, not for applause, but because your future self is watching, because your purpose demands it, because doing the work is the reward. Expect nothing, because entitlement is a silent poison. You are not owed results. You are not guaranteed rewards. But if you give your best with consistency and humility, something far greater than success appears. Character. Repeat. Because mastery isn't about intensity, it's about repetition. One good day doesn't change your life. 1,000 quietly good days do. Philosophy is for everybody. Philosophy isn't for professors and podiums. It's for people, for bus stops and broken hearts, for sleepless nights and Monday mornings. It's for the overwhelmed parent, the underpaid worker, the exhausted student. It's for anyone trying to make sense of this messy, beautiful, brutal life. The Stoics didn't write for elites. They wrote for soldiers, merchants, emperors, slaves. They wrote for the human condition, because the truths they spoke were not complicated, they were clear. And clarity is something everyone deserves. You don't need a library. You don't need Latin. You just need to be alive and willing to look deeper, willing to ask questions most people avoid, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to grow. Philosophy teaches you how to think, how to live, how to suffer, and how to find peace. Not in a perfect world, but in this one, right here, right now. So don't disqualify yourself. Don't wait for permission. Don't think you need to be ready. You're already in the classroom. Life is the teacher, and every experience is a lesson in becoming whole. These meditations aren't rules, they're reminders. A compass, not a cage. You're not expected to live them all perfectly, but to return to them often, especially when life pulls you off course. In a noisy world, Stoic wisdom offers stillness. In a reactive world, it offers reflection. In a world of shortcuts, it reminds us of the long, quiet path to character. This path doesn't promise comfort. It promises clarity. It doesn't offer applause. It offers peace. So take these reflections with you. Let them sit in your pocket. Let them echo in moments of doubt, of silence, of decision. And let them remind you always that the strength you seek isn't out there. It's already within you, waiting for the discipline to unlock it. You've walked through difficulty before. You'll walk through it again. And now you carry the wisdom to rise, not in spite of the storm, but because of it. Choose to rise. Choose to endure. And above all, choose to live on purpose.